Hope everyone had a phenomenal weekend. The weather has been just perfect. I mean, I'm pretty glad that we've been paying so much in carbon tax because I got to take my daughter to the lake for her first time ever this weekend. I set up the grill. I had a couple of the wagons that I, tied together with bungees and, did this put on this whole orchestra of things. And we had a phenomenal time. She made some friends and the water was, it wasn't too cold, but it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. The temperature was perfect. The vibe was perfect. And that's all because we've been paying the carbon tax. So yay, everybody. Congratulations for paying so much money here in Canada. We get to enjoy our seasons the way they're meant to be enjoyed. He says sarcastically. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I want to encourage you guys to smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't yet already. And without further ado, let's just jump into it. We got a lot of things to cover. We got some Pierre Poilievre clips of the Stampede. We also have another special guest who is appearing at the Stampede in Calgary. We have Diagolon is doing a road tour and they're being labeled as terrorists by the mainstream media. I'm sure that won't backfire on them. Lawsuits. And then we have some other things such as mis and disinformation campaigns that the government of Canada is putting more money towards because we're heading into an election and boy, oh boy, God forbid anyone criticizes them for their absolutely nothingness. They're perfect, apparently. Liberal government is perfect. They don't do anything wrong. Haha, he says sarcastically. Please don't censor me. Without further ado, here we go, guys. Let's take a look at the polls. So there is a bit of an update. 213 projected seats for the Conservatives. I believe they were at 218 to 217. Bottom line, 179. Top end, 234. And Liberals went up. They went up. They were at 67. Now they're at 72. I'm not sure how. Yeah, that's kind of bizarre since, they lost that by-election and Trudeau skipped out on, he skipped out on the Stampede and he just hasn't really been portrayed, well in the polls, but yeah, sure. I guess somehow he went up. But nonetheless, still 99% likely across the board for winning the most seats and for a majority government. So even though there's a bit of a bump in the polls, some go up, some go down, it's still looking really, really good for the Conservatives and Pierre Poilievre. What's not looking good, though, is the LCBO. The LCBO went on strike. They make billions and billions of dollars every single year. For those who don't know, LCBO is the liquor store in Ontario. So there's no private, if I'm not mistaken, there's no private liquor or beer stores. It's all the beer store for beers and the LCBO for liquor and also beers and ciders and stuff like that. But nonetheless, you have Doug Ford made an ad standing by a barbecue, and he's actually put money into how you can work around the LCBO being closed, which isn't funny. I know there's thousands of people that are on strike and that aren't getting paid this summer because of, the LCBO strike and yada, yada. But it's kind of funny in the sense that how did they do this so fast? How did they made an app. They have a website and everything that shows you how to make your booze purchases elsewhere. So Brian Lilly from the Toronto Sun shared this video saying, this is a giant FU to the LCBO union. Hey, you want to strike? We'll show the people of Ontario there are thousands of other places to easily buy booze. And Doug Ford says, make this summer an Ontario-made summer. Our new interactive map shows thousands of convenient options where you can still buy beer, wine, spirits, and other drinks across the province. Check out a local brewery or winery for fantastic Ontario-made products near you. I got to mute it because it's got some very weird music on it, but I'll just show you.
Options for you to buy beer, wine, cider.
Yay, it's summertime. But quite literally, I mean, they have a map that shows all the places that sell beer, wine, cider, spirits, LCBO convenience outlets. And then not only does it show you where these places are, but it shows you what they have in stock as well. So yeah, man, that's kind of crazy, dude. That is absolutely crazy that they have this up and running. And while the LCBO is on strike, I'd love to know what you guys think down below the comments about this. But it really seems like it's a bit of a slap in the face to the LCBO. Hey, yeah, we don't need you. Speaking of we don't need you, KFC is soon to be on top of that list. I don't know why all things weird happen in Ontario, but again, coming out of Ontario, KFC announced that all their restaurants in Ontario, Canada, are going to be 100% halal, excluding Thunder Bay and Ottawa. And they are banning all pork products in their stores. This is from the 6 Buzz TV on X, and it's right here from apparently a letterhead with KFC. KFC launching halal certified chicken in Ontario. We are excited to inform you that effective May 15th, 2024, so this has already happened. Will KFC Canada be launching halal certified chicken across KFC restaurants in Ontario, excluding those places? Yeah, kind of weird. I mean, why? Again, why, may I ask? I'm not sure, but I'd love to know your guys' theories down below in the comments. Speaking of theories, we have Ron Butler, the mortgage guy, who has this to say on X. Will house prices go down in Canada? Maybe we are about to find out. In the GTA in particular, things are approaching a critical moment. The rental condo crash seems to be inevitable at this point. 6 months of unsold listings and $20,000 of overpriced units are completing in 18 months. It's an inescapable outcome of math. Rental condo prices are too high to allow for any positive cash flow on 80% mortgage units in the GTA. And that's true even if mortgage rates drop to 4%, which they will next year, bearing a geopolitical event. How the hell did this happen? And he goes on to explain this. And to be honest, I've noticed too that there's a lot of places that are going up for sale that aren't selling. And there's a lot of houses that are even selling for a loss. Like people bought this house maybe a year ago for $500,000, $550,000, and now they're selling for $485,000, $470,000. It's kind of crazy what's happening. And we're living in a time where it's the lowest approvals for mortgage. Like there's less people applying for mortgages now than ever in Canada, or in a very historically long time. That's not really good, and it's very disingenuous for the government to go around and say everything's fine, inflation is under control, interest rates are coming down, blah, 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 and no need to panic, no need to worry. And I understand trying to suppress people from panicking by saying don't panic, but also you're the government, you should have this level of transparency to at least acknowledge shit isn't going well. And finally, we did get a bit of acknowledgement from that, from the Liberal government, but it's more about the dental plan. So this is from Wiretap Media. Breaking: after spending months of lying to Canadians' health, conman Mark Holland finally admits his criminal organization's dental plan is not free and comes with associated costs. Wow, they're finally admitting the truth. Look at that. It's almost like they learned something from that catastrophic loss with the by-election.
Thank you, Minister, for taking our question. The question I have is, Minister Holland, your officials today, they gave us a technical briefing. It was very helpful. And one of the things that they mentioned was, and they stressed, this is not free dental care. And that, of course, is something that dentists had wished that had been communicated better by the government. So I wondered, could you right now affirm that it's not free dental care, and what will your government be doing to better communicate who's eligible, how to apply, what the limits are, how to get paid and all that? Because I think that was dentists' concern too, that their clients, their patients were showing up and really were unclear about some of the important details of the program.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, David. It's not a free program. So folks will get their package in the mail. For those that are under 70,000, they don't have a copay. So what we've done, dentists have a separate process to set their rates. We have a process that we've engaged in Health Canada to determine what we think is fair and what we think we can cover. And there's sometimes there's a difference between those. So they call that balance billing or equal billing. So folks should have a conversation with their provider, and they should expect that in many instances there will be some fees.
Right. So now they're finally realizing, hey, you know what? Maybe we just tell people that shit costs money and they won't be as mad. And that is a phenomenal strategy. That's called being transparent. Instead of lying to people, saying that Canada has all this free healthcare, free dental plan, free this, free that, all these social programs, it's not free, bro. It comes at our expense. They've increased taxes in other ways, such as at the start of this video, I talked about how beautiful my weekend was with my daughter by bringing her to the lake, and that couldn't have been accomplished if it weren't for this carbon tax. I can't even get through that without freaking breaking character. But that's what I'm trying to say is it's not free. It comes at the expense of being one of the highest tax countries in the whole world. So very, very big change of pace, I suppose, but let's see if they can keep that up. And not that I'm rooting for the Liberals, but a little bit more transparency wouldn't hurt. And speaking of not hurting, you got Maxime Bernier, who is making an appearance at the Calgary Stampede. Let's take a look at this video here.
Hello everybody. As you can see, I'm at the Calgary Stampede, and I'm very happy to be here because, as you know, the Calgary Stampede is part of our Canadian culture and Canadian heritage, and I'm here to celebrate that with like-minded Canadians. So I will have a nice day here, and I want to tell you that stay strong and free, and we will be able to have a better country with the support of all Canadians to try to keep our values and our culture alive. Have a nice day. Stay strong and free.
So I've actually done a one-on-one chat with Maxime Bernier in the past. I think twice I've done it. And the second time, I tried giving them some pointers. And to anyone who's a part of the PPC team, get a lapel mic, bro. Get a lapel mic. It's so hard to hear with iPhones. They have great video quality. They have decent audio quality as well, but you can't hear them. And there's a bunch of noise going on, and that's the difference. Production, right? Increase the production a little bit, get a lapel mic. It'll go a long way. But it'd be interesting to see a bit of a standoff between Maxime Bernier and Pierre Poilievre at the Calgary Stampede, maybe a debate. It's crazy. It's crazy that we're living in this time where politicians are like almost celebrated. Like we can't wait to see certain politicians go up against other politicians in public out of their natural habitat of in parliament, right? Kind of wild. And that standing ovation that Pierre Poilievre got at the Stampede when he gave his speech, and I covered that in a video. And we're going to take a look at a couple more clips here in a few minutes. Absolutely wild what's going on. And speaking of wild, we have disinformation is the center of Canada's attention right now. You got this tweet right here. Disinformation is going to be the issue of the next decade, especially since there seems to be an ever-growing cohort of Canadians incapable of critical thinking. And the top comment here is, warning, the content you are about to review is sourced from legacy media and may contain bias and extreme misinformation / disinformation in exchange for Canadian federal government subsidies and or corporate ad revenue, which is a pretty funny disclaimer. But above and beyond just that article, and we can't click on it, it's a Global Mail, it's through a paywall. What we do have is this little video here from CPAC. X has heavily relied on its users in recent years to feed its community notes to counter the spread of disinformation. So this individual here was interviewed as part of the Detecting Disinformation for Democracy special. So this guy's position is head of U.S. and Canada Global Government Affairs for X.
Community Notes is powered by a network of contributors like you and me. So what does it take to become a contributor? First, you have to have an account in good standing, have an account for at least 6 months, have a verified phone number. This helps us with determining the authenticity of the contributors. We're onboarding contributors every week in a fair and random process. We now have over 500,000 contributors around the world. Community Notes is available in 70 countries in every language that X is offered. And so once you become onboarded, you start rating notes. And as you rate notes that are rated helpful, your rating impact score increases, and eventually you unlock the ability to write notes. That's a privilege that you can lose if you write too many notes that are actually unhelpful. Your participation in the program is anonymized, so you're given an alias when you sign up. And so what this does is really, it puts the power in the hands of the people to add the context. And X, on our end, we have no power to place or remove a note. This is important because this helps build trust in the system.
So does that mean then that it will be the community that determines what is potentially misinformation, disinformation, or will X still have a team to determine that?
So this is one intervention. And then we have a couple other misleading information policies. One is our...
I just want to pause because this is the issue with the Canadian government and a lot of the Five Eyes governments, right? These social media companies like X, what they're doing may be great. It may fail. I don't know. But it seems to be a good step in the right direction of trying to decrease any form of mis and disinformation, any misleading things by the community run for the community, by the people, for the people. And that's awesome, right? And the anonymity aspect, sure, I'm sure there are flaws, but it seems to be a pretty good system so far. And I could be very wrong, but I just what I've seen doesn't seem that bad. The moment a government gets their hands on this, that's where it becomes very bad and corrupt, because they are the ones, and it's like usually a few people at the very top, and you can't bring anything above that chain of command, because that's how the government functions, is a chain of command. There is somebody who gets to decide what is and what isn't. Instead of it being for the community, by the community, voted on by the people to actually figure out what the truth is. No, it's one person who has an agenda, and anytime their agenda gets criticized or gets attacked, they start to, throw around that ban hammer. And that's what we've seen with a bunch of different varieties, different things in the past, right? And that's the issue with Canada, is these private companies are doing, X on its own, not YouTube, not whatever, but just X with the community notes. It's a pretty good system, right? Pretty decent system. The moment the government starts to get involved, and there is government that is, I think, $230 million, the PBO announced for Canada, right? That they're spending on a group of superheroes or supervillains, the Avengers of mis and disinformation, that's costing us $200 million to then add on their own government policies to fight mis and disinformation censorship, basically, which is crazy because the private companies are already spending a lot of money, not at the taxpayers' expense, but at their own expense of revenue and things like that. But I don't know why the government's trying to add another layer of this. Let the companies do it themselves. It just doesn't make any sense. It's pretty much what I'm trying to say. But I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Is X doing enough for making sure that it's a good platform, mis and disinformation free platform, or should the Canadian government get involved and add another layer of this? Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments.
Civic integrity policy, which is active around elections, and that's meant to address misleading information that could interfere with people's participation in the franchise of voting. And then we have a synthetic and manipulated media policy. This is a long-standing policy of ours that addresses synthetic and manipulated media. It could be what's commonly known as deep fakes. It could also address out-of-context media. We see this a lot recently in the Israel-Hamas conflict, where you've seen videos of other theaters of war from different years, and we can label that as manipulated and synthetic media. And so those are other two policies that...
So the internet is kind of like the Wild West. It doesn't have any borders right now. The internet is open to all. You could be on a chat server. You could be in an X room or whatever they're called, right? One of those spaces. You could be in an X space with people from all around the world, right? And it just doesn't have any borders. There really isn't that many, like, this is the Canadian version of X or the Canadian version of YouTube, and there's the American one, and they can't cross-pollinate. That's not happening yet, and that's amazing, and I don't think it should ever happen. One of the most beautiful things about the internet is it doesn't have any borders. You could be interacting with people from all around the world. Everyone is free to share content however they choose, and it can go and travel borderless. And that's the beauty of the internet. The moment you start to add these borders in, which is what Canada has tried to do, what they're trying to implement with the CRTC, if I'm not mistaken, at least that's what the Conservatives are saying. That's what everyone seems to be under the impression of, that Justin Trudeau, the Liberals, are trying to encapsulate the internet in Canada without going in or out, other than just here in Canada. Almost like, what's that one country that does that? Oh yeah, North Korea. That's not good. Then you're sheltered from the rest of the world, and that's not how the internet is designed to be. If that were the case, then why don't we just have internet passports? That's right. Not yet. Those digital IDs are coming soon to a place near you. Kind of crazy how you just can't have nice things in this world anymore. But we're going to have to wait and see how that plays out. Next up, we have the Diagolon Road Tour. Justin Trudeau wearing a Diagolon shirt or a cutout of Justin Trudeau's face on somebody on the Diagolon bus tour. And right now you have them, I don't know where they are, maybe in somewhere in Ontario, in Ottawa, but it says Sudbury journalists parked outside the street taking photos of Diagolon's camp or Diagolon's place where they are, their little shelter for the time being, and they get approached. The journalists get approached by Diagolon members, and they offer them. We offered hot dogs and hamburgers, but it was evidently too scary. I don't feel safe, and rolled up the window, says the journalist. So for those who don't know, Diagolon, the meme group, whose leader, president is a goat. They're traveling from coast to coast, if I'm not mistaken, doing a road tour. You can find out the information at Diagolon's website. Next up, we have Pierre Poilievre at the Calgary Stampede, who has this to say: the attack on our freedoms over the last 9 years is unprecedented in Canadian history. Pierre Poilievre says he will scrap the Online Streaming Act and Online Harms Act bill, which, again, if I'm not mistaken, those bills are adding borders around the internet, which is not how the internet is designed. It was not ever meant to be that way. But North Korea and China, if I'm not mistaken, have decided that, nope, they're going to add borders. And Canada is soon to be on that list. Kind of crazy.
NDP Liberal socialist hate hunting because it symbolizes independence and self-reliance. The attack on our freedoms over the last 9 years is unprecedented in Canadian history. We've seen it through censorship laws, both C11 and now C63, a law that creates a three-headed bureaucracy that can actually put you under house arrest, not for something you've said, but under suspicion of something you might say in the future that would cause harm to someone else's feelings. Meanwhile, we see this woke censorship play out on our university campuses. Common sense conservatives will stand up for the freedom of expression. I will repeal C11, C63, and require universities that get federal funding to respect freedom of expression.
There you go. I mean, this is why, one of the reasons why Pierre Poilievre is so popular is he's just hitting all of the right talking points that people want, that Canadians deserve. And next up, we have this beautiful clip where Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservative Party, criticizes Justin Trudeau for his decision to not attend the Calgary Stampede. I mean, every year, forever, the Prime Minister has gone to the Calgary Stampede. It's one of the largest outdoor events around the world. But this year he didn't go, and neither did Jagmeet. I wonder if it's because, I don't know, Alberta doesn't like them?
Because he might be gone before I arrive. There's talk of him heading the road real soon, eh? Do you hear about that by-election in Toronto? People in Toronto voted because he's not worth the cost. They wanted common sense conservatives instead. And ever since, Justin Trudeau has been in panic mode. He's not here at the Stampede, is he? Nobody's seen him around. Is anybody missing him? But don't feel offended, Calgary, that Justin Trudeau is hiding from you. He's actually hiding from his own caucus. Terrified to meet with the people who are supposed to be his greatest supporters. Soon, you can imagine a caucus meeting of the NDP Liberals in a phone booth with just Jag and Justin. Oh my goodness. Oh, Justin's in a lot of trouble now, eh? As Maggie Thatcher said, the problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money.
Oh my God. Pierre Poilievre is having a grand old time with all of these Justin Trudeau failures. I mean, there's no shortage of them. It seems like there's a new one every single week to just kind of hyper focus on and criticize. Absolutely amazing. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments about this. Do you think that Pierre Poilievre is going to successfully repeal? I don't know if he said in the past the carbon tax. I mean, it is his biggest slogan, axe the tax. So I would hope and assume that he would actually go after that, as well as all of these borders that Justin Trudeau is trying to put on the internet, all this wasteful spending that the Liberals are currently doing. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Personally, I think that he will do it. I mean, it seems like this is the guy that we need right now. I'm very optimistic about it. I have yet to be proven that Pierre Poilievre is anything but the guy for the job. But I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. That's where we're going to end this video. Everybody, on your way out, I would like to encourage you guys one last time to smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you in the next one. Bye for now.